finish. He's moving out across the map and going for the kill. And this is going to be really dangerous, especially because In Control's actually moving his army out right now. If he gets caught there, if he loses all these sentries to the Lings...
Nice force fields, actually. Really nice. Destiny loses a big chunk of his army there.
Yeah, Destiny actually may have been able to just go in and trade the Lings for the sentries, because if you don't have support units to keep the Hydras away from your Void Rays, they're really not that good. They need the meat shield or they need the force fields. They need something. So that might have been an okay trade for Destiny, but he did back off and lose a lot of Lings. And a Dark Shrine actually coming from In Control. I don't know if he's going to have time for that to matter. Destiny really needs to go for an attack soon.
Well, a lot of probes are about to die here, potentially, but In Control's actually built a rather nice defensive wall here, activates his Photon Overcharge, sends a few Zealots back. He actually did pull his entire army back just to try and deal with this. So far, only 6 workers have been killed here by Destiny, traded for an awful lot of Zerglings.
Yeah, and that's, I don't know, Destiny doesn't want to be harassing here. He wants to be going for the kill. Actually, he's putting down a 4th hatchery and a Spire, but I don't think that's going to work out too well unless In Control messes up. He's playing way too aggressive here. He needs to get that army back. He needs to just defend. Because if he survives, if he has Dark Templars and 3 Stargates and lots of production, he just wins. All he has to do right now is stay alive. But his army is actually way out on the other side of the map.
Yeah, he wants to posture aggressively. He wants to go for it. I'm not really sure what kind of timing he's trying to hit. None of the upgrades are lining up or anything along those lines. But he does want to be aggressive, and Hydra's come in and managed to pick off the almost full-energy Mothership Core. So that's a nice little win there for Destiny, who's trying to flank it, and In Control's army could suddenly be trapped here on the map without any recall.
Yeah, losing that Mothership Core is absolutely horrendous for In Control there. It's not impossible for him to win this fight, but he doesn't want to take it. He just wanted to recall back, like put some pressure on Destiny and then get out.
Force fields go down.
Really nice force fields.
Yeah, not too bad at all, actually. He's able to catch quite a lot out there and deal with most of the Lings, but these guys are still in the middle of nowhere. They've got to kind of make their way back across the map, and the Hydras are pursuing, but thankfully they do not have speed upgrades, so they're never going to catch that army in a million years unless In Control makes a big mistake.
Yeah, the danger has been inverted for In Control, although Mutas are out now, and he doesn't have any cannons in his mineral line, but the Zealots see them. There's no danger from the ground army. In Control's army is big enough. He just has to deal with these Mutas, and then he's going to be pretty much set. This is the last big threat Destiny has here.
Yep, and it's a pretty decent one. The Void Ray comes out and is going to die very, very quickly to that, so that's not too good here for In Control. He's currently slightly supply blocked. Mothership Core is trying to avoid the predications here of these Mutalisks. The 4th base goes down from a rather nice Zealot run by, but the Zealots and the Oracle are caught out here as well. Muta's now in the main mineral line, and we do need to see In Control responding to that. He is doing so. He's bringing out plenty of Phoenixes, but he doesn't want to engage with the Void Rays, and he is. He already loses 1. He's going to lose a 2nd here, and possibly even a 3rd.
Those Mutas did a lot of damage, and Destiny's looking to go in with the Ling Hydra here. I'm not sure if there's actually enough, because without those Void Rays, he loses a lot of DPS, and he doesn't have any kind of AoE. Oh, an attack's coming in at the 3rd base at the same time as Mutas, and oh, it's just circling, so it's cleaned up, but the Hydras, he still doesn't have Hydra speed. It's just about to finish.
In Control did kill a lot of Mutalisks there. All the Mutas are dead now for Destiny, but as you said, there's a massive Hydra force. There's 30 Hydralisks in that army coming in right here.
And it's only Zealots and Sentries, and they're kind of streaming in one by one.
Yeah, that's not going to work at all. These Hydras are absolutely decimating this army right now. They're not well upgraded in comparison to In Control's army, but maybe there's just not enough Protoss to deal with this. Although that said, Stalkers firing from the high ground. Over half of the Hydralisks are dead already. Mothership Core is up, but it doesn't have the energy for a Photon Overcharge here. And it looks like most of the Hydras were actually across the map. So In Control's going to hold this.
Yeah, he has cleaned it up. They basically traded armies there, but they're at the same Harvester count, and the 4th base is just now finishing for Destiny. And In Control actually has pretty solid upgrades, and all of the tech paths in the world open to him. So as long as he doesn't die pretty quickly here, this is going to be pretty well for... E-scale is much better at this point. There's no kind of hive. There's nothing really for Destiny going into the later game. And In Control has double Colossus in production right now. He still just needs to survive. That's all he needs to be looking to do.
That's very true, and he's starting to rebuild his bases quite nicely. We should note, of course, that he's stayed on 71 probes versus 62 drones, and has been able to keep a hold of this 3rd base and never actually lose it. I like the way that he structured his buildings here. Very anti-Ling, incredibly effective in that respect. It's repulsed numerous run-bys. Definitely going for another one here, but the same thing will end up happening, I would imagine. Although Mothership Core energy isn't there yet, so this could do some damage, but it's probably not going to do too much unless In Control actually lets those probes die.
He can honestly afford to lose some. He was ahead in Harvester count. He almost has too many, which is absolutely amazing, given how much Ling Run bias and the muta harassment that Destiny has done, the fact that he actually had more harvesters than the Zerg, that's just not supposed to happen. I have no idea how he managed that.
Yeah, I don't either, because Destiny's killed 37 workers throughout this entire game, and In Control's still on 65, so I guess he's just been playing with a fairly small army. He did get his third up relatively early, and he's been able to mine from it, so I guess maybe that explains it. Now we're seeing double Colossus production here from In Control.
Yeah, and right now we have double Colossus production versus Hydra Ling at equal supplies, and even an inferior economy for the Zerg, and that's just really, really not good. Colossus is a hard counter to Ling Hydra, short of having a bunch of Templar. He actually has Templar as well.
Oh.
And Storm is on the way, so I don't know. He can't let Destiny expand unchecked or anything, but Destiny really isn't looking towards the late game. He's still not getting a hive. He's not putting down another hatchery, another expansion. He's just kind of upgrading his Ling Hydra and making some corruptors. And he actually built a second Spire for no reason. He just kind of forgot he already had the one for the mutas. I don't know. Things not looking too hot for Destiny. He might have one big Ling Hydra Corruptor all in. He's just going to suicide on the Colossus and hope it's enough. But I don't know. Unless In Control gets really, really cocky and moves out. He doesn't have any force field, and his Zealots don't have any defensive upgrades. So maybe Destiny could do something here. But that's just a really scary Protoss army, especially against a Lairtech Zerg.
Yeah, and he's upgrading to high, but his upgrades are really late. This attack may even hit the 4th base before 2-2 kicks in, which would be even worse, because these are 3-0 Protoss units. The Spinecrawler should hold things up for a little while, but that 4th base is absolutely going to die here for Destiny, and he sees what's coming at him. Corruptors are being built here. He's trying to go up to Hive. He's waiting for his 2-2 to finish, but this is going to be tricky. Army supplies in favor of the Zerg, but that's 4 Colossus with +3.
Yeah, Destiny knows that he has no chance here except for maybe he catches the Corruptors out of position with his Colossus, wipes them, and then the Hydra Ling wipes the rest of the Protoss army. But with Storm's already completed. A lot of Zealot Stalker. It's looking really grim for Destiny here. And yeah, that's not a good Corruptor engagement either.
No, not really. He will be able to take down this army, though, and Destiny's actually gone in really, really close here. Big storms come down. The last 2 Colossus are still alive, though. It was probably the best he could have hoped for in that situation, but now things are getting ugly. We have Hydras going down to storms. We still have 2 Colossus up, and finally the Colossus go down to the Corruptors here. Archon's being morphed in. Damage is being done. It doesn't look like this army from In Control is actually going to kill the Zerg, though.
Yeah, I'm kind of amazed. It just, I don't know, his Zealots weren't with the rest of his army during the engagement, and everything just got kind of fractured, and he didn't have any force fields to really keep himself alive. So Destiny did manage to clear it up, but still, we're on 3 base versus 3 base, and Protoss still has the better tech. He's going Void Race now, which I don't particularly like. He really wants more Colossus and Templar. And we had a Greater Spire coming from Destiny. He doesn't really have the bank to use it too much, but I don't know, maybe he gets 1 round of Broodlords off, and that's enough. Because if In Control secures his 4th base, that really should be the nail in the coffin. But honestly, that last attack should have ended it. I don't know how Destiny managed to survive.
He got a pretty good angle, I feel, with the Hydras. He got in nice and close without taking Colossus shots, and then was able to really unload some damage, which was quite surprising.
Yeah, the big problem there was without force fields, without any sentries at all in the army, the Zealots are basically your moving force fields, and the Zealots just ran in and started attacking the 3rd base. Yeah. So he had nothing to protect his high damage units from a direct engagement. And Destiny did really well to get the Hydras in there right up close and personal. So credit to him for that, but In Control just needed to be a bit more careful with his tankier units.
This Nexus is almost done, which is quite surprising. Destiny really doesn't want to let it finish, but with +3 Zealots defending it and a cannon, in fact 2 cannons, nothing's going to get done here. This 4th base is going to complete, and the Hydra is actually caught out in the middle of nowhere. Massive Changeling force fields come down, which is actually just enough to delay some of these units, but Hydras are getting picked up here by the Phoenixes, and Blink Stalkers are killing the rest of them. This is not looking good for our Zerg.
And this is a good time to kind of posture out on the map for In Control. He's making it really, really dangerous to try and morph any Broodlords with those Corruptors. And there we do see them starting up. And In Control isn't looking to pressure right away, so the Broodlords will survive. But low numbers of Broodlords, without the efficiency of the Infestor, it's just not what it used to be. They still deal a lot of damage. The Broodlings still help zone a little bit. But if you just get one good blink in, if you get an Archon under them, they do pop pretty quickly. And that's all he's really going to have going for him. He's just going to have some Ling Hydra under it.
Yeah, and
no Corruptors to take out the Colossus anymore.
Worst thing that happens is maybe those Broodlords are enough to stop the army, but a Fleet Beacon's already done, and it's even going to have air upgrades with it. So Tempests get built from 3 starports, and suddenly those Broodlords don't last very long.
No, they don't. Even the Void Rays would be enough to charge them down before the Hydras can do anything about it. Ooh, a nice catch for Destiny. They're getting 4 Templars, forcing Archons, nice, and then killing them off. So that's something. But the problem is that's happening at In Control's 5th base as Destiny's struggling to secure his own 4th.
Yeah, exactly. So there's not going to be any Storm in this composition if he decides to attack with it now. It may force him to wait a little while, but I still think that the Protoss is in a really, really good spot here. Phoenix has continued to harass. In Control's done a good job with these, actually, considering, and he's even thrown some DTs in there for good measure. So he's keeping up the pressure on his opponent, making sure he can't expand and get himself back into the game, and he's spotted the Broodlords, and out come the Tempests.
It's not an In Control PvZ game if there's not random DTs at some point. If anything's his trademark, it's that. But yeah, like you said, the Tempest coming out, and a Tempest-based Protoss army with lots of AoE in the Colossus. He can add Templar whenever he wants. He has the Void Rays in there for just some extra DPS. Against a low econ Broodlord army, that's just so scary, because you just sit at whatever position you want, and you pick at the Broodlords with your Tempests. He needs to get an Oracle or two out for Revelation to really help with that, but otherwise he's just going to have complete reign, and eventually Destiny's probably just going to get frustrated and go all in, because the range disparity is just so annoying in low econ situations, because it's just, you can't afford to lose stuff, but you can't really do anything about it.
Exactly. And In Control, wanting to also get some Warp Prism harass done right here, may decide to go for the DTs on that. Doesn't really want to drop the stuff directly on the Spine Crawler, although with the upgrades he's got, maybe that's not going to matter so much, especially if he does a really, really big Warp in. There is a Zealot run by now coming to the 4th base, and there's a DT in there as well. In Control just going right for the hatchery, and with the amount of damage that could be done if the Broodlords weren't there, that would have worked absolutely fine. Where on earth did the Warp Prism go? It actually somehow got picked off. Not really sure how that happened.
That big fleet of Corruptors went back and killed it off. And with that Queen there to transfuse, he actually does manage to keep the hatchery alive.
Yeah, nice.
So that's nice, but it's buying all the time in the world for In Control, who is now running on 2.5 bases. Destiny is basically running on 1. And all the tech, all of everything. We now have Locust for Destiny. I was actually talking to him. He was down at that little tournament in Louisiana I was at a week or two ago.
Yep.
And he was saying, in any matchup, no matter what, if things go badly for him, if he gets behind, he's just going to sit and be really, really annoying with Swarm Hosts. That's his generic comeback strategy. So I fear that this game might go on for another 40 minutes if In Control doesn't just decide to kill him.
It could. There is kind of a reason why we picked a best-of-3 format for this instead of a best-of-7, because Naniwa would get rather upset if he had to end up playing at 3 a.m. because these guys decided to make it a show for everybody. But In Control is now taking a 6th base coming up to the top right here with a bunch of cannons. He's added a lot more gateways. He's going double Warp Prism, so he thinks he's a hero right now.
He just wants to show off a bit. He knows he's completely in control of the game.
Yeah.
And yeah. Oh, but that one Warp Prism flies right into the Corruptors, so that one doesn't do so good. But really, at this point, he has so much economy, and he's doing the smart thing. He's building up a ton of cannons. He's not just banking money. Because if you put up a lot of cannons, and you can recall your army if anything gets too serious, those bases just don't die. And his army versus army right now is so good for him.
It really is.
He has all of the techs.
Yeah, there's not enough
Protoss
Swarm
tech is
Host
really good
right now to really be a threat. You know, it'll be annoying, don't get me wrong, but yes, it's a bunch of free units, but unless you have a large amount of them, you can't really stop an army of this size, especially with that much Colossus, that much Archon in there. And he's going to push his way towards the 4th base now, and if Destiny can hold this, it'll be fantastic, but the Tempests are now coming in. They're going to start to pick off some Broodlords here. Storms go down as well. Needs to try and target fire the Broodlords, but it seems like they're slightly out of vision range at the moment. Charged Void Rays go in here. The Observer just got picked off, actually, so there's no vision right now on those Swarm Hosts. In Control could have a few more problems than he was expecting, but with that amount of firepower, that base dies in 2 seconds.
Yeah, there's few enough Locusts at this point that he can just almost ignore it. Really, he has so much damage. And Destiny's actually looking to engage here. I don't know if that's such a good idea for him to be trying to fight here.
Well, he takes out one of the Tempests, which is nice, but he does need a Storm for his trouble there. And In Control's army takes a little bit of damage. It's not a big army, it's a scary army of very, very high-quality units. There's a big Zealot run by going for the natural here, which is mining basically nothing right now, so it's going to kill a Spine, maybe.
Yeah, and In Control has about 3,000 minerals in the bank, so he can kind of just send Zealots everywhere at this point, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's going into the 12 o'clock at the same time, and he might actually transfuse has just saved the hatchery.
Lots
but
of transfuse.
The 12 o'clock base is now under attack as well. That one's not going to die either, but In Control is kind of content to just keep trading resources for anything, because he has so many of them.
Yep, he's got a couple more observers out now. He knows that the Swarm Hosts are going to be annoying at that 4th base there if Destiny tries to re-establish. He sees them coming in. They're not really coming in large groups. They're coming in little bits at a time, which means that they are dying pretty quickly. The Stalker goes down here, but now this big scary army comes in. There's a decent amount of Storm in here. Colossus and Destiny looking for an engagement. The Void Rays caught at the front here. They will go down pretty quickly, but Storms go down as well. And these Colossus will do pretty well. I'm concerned about In Control not actually targeting the Broodlords, though. These Tempests are actually attacking units on the ground, which is not going to help him that much. Destiny looking for the comeback right here, as In Control, frankly, botches that engagement.
Yeah, that was just really kind of sloppy. I think he got overconfident there. He felt like he could just attack move with his big Protoss ball, and that would be enough. But at the same time, the hatchery at the natural falls to another Zealot run by, and we have essentially no income for Destiny, so he is very, very all in. But this is the army you kind of like to be all in with. You got a lot of free units coming out of those Broodlords and Swarm hosts, and the Corruptors are there to clean up in the air. The one bad part about the Protoss Death Ball is it's so expensive and such high-tech units that they take a long time to rebuild. So Destiny has a bit of a timing window here, but In Control smart. He's just going to keep warping in these Zealots, keep sending them in, buying time, get it to a base race situation, and then his Templars and his air units and whatnot will eventually whittle down this Protoss army, or this Zerg army.
This fourth base is pretty much forfeit at this point. The Locusts did a phenomenal job of battering their way through the defenses, and you called it a comeback unit. It's absolutely right. In Control is trying to reestablish his army. He does have the economy to make that happen, though, so yeah, it was a really, really good fight for Destiny, or a really bad one for Jeff, depending on how you want to view it. But at this point, Destiny's still in a really bad economic spot. He only has one functional mining base at this stage.
And he has a very immobile army, so these Zealots are just going to be able to kill everything off. And in a base race situation, the free units are good, but when your Protoss opponent has a lot more bases than you do, they have a lot more ground to give, and they can just keep warping in units and just running away from you until they're maxed, and you only have what you already have. I don't know. He's not going to be able to get enough done fast enough, even if he could win army versus army now, and that's still questionable if In Control controlled it a bit better than the previous engagement.
Mothership is out on the way, something that we don't really see too much, as well as a +3 Protoss air weapon. Interesting choice. I think we're seeing a little bit of showboating now, because there's actually no mining bases at all here for our Zerg player, who is currently long-distance mining. The income looks great, but until you realize that it was just all of his drones that just did a long-distance mining run, and now they're going to obviously die. So this is not looking good. The Zerg player trying to move in, and pressure on this fourth base here. As you said, he does have a mobile army, but he does have a very strong one as well.
Yeah, it's smart of him to move up here and actually put pressure on the mining bases for In Control, because In Control doesn't have a massive bank. He did have to replace that whole gigantic army. He only has 500 minerals right now. He's been sending Zealots everywhere. So if you take out his mining bases, maybe you choke him out. Still, if we just look at the army for In Control, that's a lot of Protoss units again.
It is, and upgrades are about to kick in. 10 seconds left on Protoss Shield level 3, 10 seconds left on air weapons. I think In Control would want to wait for those upgrades to finish before he fights here. And this may be the big confrontation coming in between these two.
I actually wasn't sure what the spells on the Mothership were now, because it is just not used at all in competitive play.
Nothing.
I didn't realize that it actually just keeps the Mothership core spells and getting some cloaking field.
Yeah, it does. It's not all that useful. Admittedly, with +3 Purifier Beam, that's actually 9 damage with 6 attacks. It's very good for killing lots of Locusts, or perhaps Lings and things like that, but that really is about it. So that's not really going to help anyone. And I don't know, I mean, this is still a very big, scary army, but if In Control somehow loses this, then
he only has a few overseers. I don't know. It doesn't matter. In Control can just kind of attack move with this. Last time he attack moved and he was a bit mistaken in his judgment of that.
Yeah.
Here I'm pretty sure he actually can.
Yeah, he needs to focus fire, and he's kind of doing that. He is attacking the Corruptors there, which is maybe not the best idea. The Mothership will die eventually, but it did take an awful lot of punishment in the process. In Control's army continues to fight here. The Broodlords are doing the damage, but they're now being targeted here by the Tempests. And this is mutually assured destruction between these two at this point, and In Control's actually getting thrown back.
He is, but he killed off enough of the important stuff, and it's going to come down to the economies at this point, because In Control's still mining off of almost 2 full bases with another Nexus coming up. He still kept the Colossus and the Tempest alive. Then Destiny, he's I don't know. He's fighting honorably, but and a bunch of DTs come in now. And he actually picked off all the Overseers in that last battle with his Tempest, so a really good recognition there from In Control.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the end
That's
of it.
GG. GG. That was a fairly long one, actually, to start us off there, quite surprisingly.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. In Control kind of messed it up. He could have ended it quite a bit earlier if he didn't get so cocky there over on the left side of the map. Just wasn't focus firing at all. He really completely thought he could attack, move his Protoss ball, and that would be the end of it. Underestimating the power of Swarm Hosts and Broodlords.
I have to apologize to everyone on the stream right now for In Control's chosen victory music because it's quite frankly disgraceful. But, sorry.
What is it?
So there's this video on YouTube that is a fake video of supposedly a drunken midget singing Cutie Patootie on some American daytime talk show.
I know that, yes.
He very specifically requested that, and it's horrific. This is it. This is the end of professional StarCraft right here. It's all Jeff's fault. Well, Jeff goes up 1 game, folks. We'll be coming back with Game 2 very shortly. You are watching the Bitcoin StarCraft Challenge. Will Destiny be able to come back, or can In Control close it out on our undercard here 2-0? We'll find out after the break, folks. Do not go anywhere. Oh, thank God, that audio.
Of a sorry grace. There are battle wombitarians lacking in humility. Turians are bragging about their reach and flexibility. The clutter of the city spreads to the lowliest stars. But no matter what scars you bear, whatever uniform you wear, you can fight like a Krogan, run like a leopard, but you'll never be better than Commander Shepard. Halls, inside the shining walls, hear the stories from Earth. Fighters want to prove their worth. Solarian science smothered in idiom about a stimulating eye scanning for iridium. But one tale holds every mind enthralled. 'Cause no matter what scars you bear, whatever uniform you wear, you can fight like a Krogan, run like a leopard, but you'll never be better than Commander Shepard. No matter what scars you bear, whatever uniform you wear, you can fight like a Krogan, run like a leopard, but you'll never be better than Commander Shepard. You can fight like a Krogan, run like a leopard, but you'll never be better than Commander Shepard. You can fight like a Krogan, run like a leopard, but you'll never be better than Commander Shepard. Never be better than Commander Shepard. Never be better than Commander Shepard. Yeah. Never be better than Commander Shepard. Never be better than Commander Shepard. Assuming control.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our undercard match for the Bitcoin StarCraft Challenge. In Control currently leads 1-0 against Destiny.
Rather exciting long macro game.
Yeah.
I don't know. Would not have expected that from these two players, really. In Control, he likes the two bases, and Destiny said that is what he feared. That's what's strong about Protoss. And that wasn't mind games or anything. He wasn't trying to trick In Control into doing that. That's definitely what he's weak to, what every Zerg is weak to right now. I don't know. I really think In Control just kind of wanted to go with the Forge first in order to have the possibility of cannon rush. Then he saw how early Destiny's pool was, and he was just kind of trapped into a Nexus FE kind of thing. And then he didn't feel comfortable cheesing from there. I don't know. I think we're going to see something more aggressive out of Control this time. Yunsu is not a map to play a big macro game on.
Indeed, perhaps not. It is a map that, however, that's pretty good for Protoss as far as I heard. It was something that Naniwa was a little bit confident on, and Scarlett perhaps not so much. She was not especially happy about Yunsu. What do you think about it for the PvZ matchup?
Yeah, both Yunsu and Polar Knight, in my mind, are kind of similar in that they're both very, very small, very short rush distances, kind of difficult. That decoy spire. But yeah, very difficult to secure a third on, and very easy for Protoss to do either too basic aggression or just kind of mid-game all-wins kind of stuff. I find them very difficult to play against Protoss on, just because Protoss is in control of the early game with their aggression, and it's a very early game focused map.
These two. I asked them to be honorable before they started, and now they're trying to correct my spelling, which is, I mean, that's just not cricket.
It's a good thing this isn't WCS. They get fined now.
They would, apparently, yes. And although I think we would have been fined a little bit more for disparaging the skills of the players.
Yeah, I really, really like that last line in those guidelines. It's about the casters not being able to disparage the general skill or reputation of the players, something like that.
Yeah, it's something I did talk to Blizzard about. I had a look at the handbook. I think it was about 2 weeks ago, and I said, look, you know, this handbook looks pretty good, but this is a bit of a concern. Like, it was a little strange, I gotta say, but I'm sure it'll be fine. I mean, I guess they only really mean that you can't just flat out call this player bad or anything like that.
I'm pretty sure it's just there to give them discretion if they feel that they need it.
Yeah,
and they're not gonna ride the casters too hard. Actually, seeing a 13 pool out of Destiny again.
Yeah.
And a Forge FE out of In Control again. That's really weird. I don't know. I haven't played him too much. Maybe he just doesn't do gateway expansion, or maybe he's really, really set on having the opportunity to cannon rush if necessary. But gateway expansion is definitely the better build on this map. I think it's a better build overall, but it's at least debatable on bigger maps like Star Station. But on here, you should be doing gateway expansion. It just gives you so many opportunities.
Yeah, that is kind of true, and I'm surprised not to see that. Down goes the hatchery, so In Control couldn't delay that for too long, but that's kind of to be expected. And now he's going to secret this probe off to the bottom here, which I think is... Oh, and we're going to see a pylon, okay. But there's Lings on the way. I mean, there's no way that Destiny should let this happen.
No, there's a drone scout already. There's Lings on the way. And it wasn't like a sneaky pylon. It wasn't positioned so if he gets a cannon behind it, it works anyway. It was honestly a poorly positioned pylon. Plus his probe's so low, he just cancels it. But he already had the Nexus coming down, so he was just kind of messing with him and maybe hoping.
Well, In Control evidently does not agree with everyone else's opinion that this is a pretty good map for Protoss, but there you go.
I'm not sure if he's hamming it up or he really just cannon rushes every game now. Because he's always he's always had a penchant for cannon rushes, and after watching SOS, any Protoss would be a fan of it. We actually have a probe sneaking out around the right side. Oh! Wow.
Well, that was a wall that wasn't even close to being finished, actually.
Nowhere near. He didn't realize that was the 13 pool. He figured it was just a 14 or 15, more normal. And his cannon is set up to stop a 14 or 15 pool, but not a 13 pool.
Well, that was sneaky. Let's see how much damage Destiny can actually get done here. Whatever the case, he's going to waste quite a bit of mining time. He's working on that assimilator. I mean, good luck with that, but Destiny now... Oh, the probe's around! He just... That's pretty good from In Control. 3 Zerglings get killed and no probes go down.
Yeah, and that last Zergling, that's not really going to accomplish anything. Just be a little bit of a nuisance and annoyance.
It's going to run itself right into a cannon for honorable death. There we go.
Suicidal Zergling.
These guys are worth every bit penny.
Is that what they're called? Do you call fractions of a Bitcoin a bit penny?
No, I believe they're called micro Bitcoins, but I like bit penny. I think that works pretty well.
I do as well. That's catchy.
Good.
I don't know very much about Bitcoin. I just started researching them back when this show match was announced and Scarlett started taking Bitcoin donations and stuff. It's interesting.
There's a nice site, actually, that I looked at with Bitcoin, which is gift.com, G-Y-F-T, which is actually a site that does gift cards for Bitcoin. And they do all sorts of things like Amazon and GameStop and all the popular places, so that seems pretty useful.
That's cool.
Either that or you can buy a Tesla Model S, apparently, with it, so, you know.
Just get rid of all of them in one shot.
Pretty much, you know, a bit of a variance, I think, between buying a $10 gift card and a Tesla Model S, but, you know, both work, so obviously shows the viability of it. Alright, well, that was an interesting comedy of errors in the first few minutes there. We saw Lings get in, we saw and now a Zealot is going to deny mining entirely at this third base. There's actually